Hello and welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television right now where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is ETN's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight on our influencer, a conversation with Knowlarity, and on Leader Focus, a conversation on the IT space.
Thank you so much, Ambrish, for joining us on Leaders of Tomorrow. You know, I want to begin by asking you, technology has been an enabler for many sectors, and it has that power to change the way business is done across the globe. You're a technocrat at heart. How do you see technology, especially cloud telephony, changing the business environment?
I think it's a very powerful technology. If you understand the preferred way for people to communicate today is on telephone. You want to talk with your friend, you just call them up. When the customers wants to talk with the businesses, they call them up. And today businesses do not have inexpensive tools to be able to handle these incoming phone calls, so that they can properly make sure that all the leads are tracked, all the support calls are properly handled, no calls is missed, and everything is nicely, you can do nice analysis on them. So I think it's a very powerful technology, and because it's hosted, it's a cloud telephone, it's available in a very inexpensive format. For 1,000 rupees per month, people can use this technology. So it's very useful for SMBs in India and outside India to use this technology, and that's why we have 15,000 businesses who are using these services.
So, when we talk about cloud computing or something on the internet for a layman, security is a concern that everyone has when you're putting your data out there.
The WannaCry.
So how does cloud telephony really help in consumer data masking?
See, these are two different things. Consumer data masking is different from security.
Right.
The most of the hosted technologies, because they are experts sitting, making sure all the customers' data is very, very well protected, end up actually being more secure than you actually having data on your laptop and somebody can just stick in a USB drive and copy the data. And that is why Facebook has everybody's data, like the most intimated of the data available, but there has not been any hacking attempt or successful hacking attempt.
I think it's a mindset that we still have.
Yeah, I think it's literally equivalent of saying that I'll keep my money at home, which is more secure than putting in the bank vault. And I think that probably mindset change also took quite a bit of time, where people started trusting bank vault, that it's safer to put it there versus under my mattress. I think the same thing is going to happen with the data as well. People will be more comfortable, it being in the vaults of the cloud computing companies versus on their laptops.
So cloud telephony, as we see it, is small, is niche right now, but is a very powerful component, as the advantages that you've kind of talked about. So if we see the expanse of cloud technologies, what is the future of such technologies for MSMEs? How do you see them leveraging this?
I think the IoT and Internet of Things and the cloud computing go hand in hand. So what is happening is these little devices are coming to our living rooms, in our pockets. Right. I think it will be embedded in our bodies very soon. It's going to be in the cars, it's going to be refrigerator everywhere. But these are human interface devices, which is the interface of the human being. All the computing actually end up getting done in the cloud, in the back-end servers. So I think they play, together they play very, very powerful roles. Take a case in point, Amazon, Alexa, all the very large part of computing ends up being done in the cloud, but it's a little device sitting in the living room, which you can talk with. So with this IoT devices, little devices in the living room, combined with the power of infinite capacity that is available to you on demand basis at the server end, it just makes a very powerful computing paradigm. And I expect that it is going to really reform and transform the way enterprises operate. I think today enterprises operate in a very manual way. The data is collected, data is maintained, and all the decision making is based on hunch and data. I think there's going to be a lot of AI, artificial intelligence, in the enterprise sector very soon, and we expect to be the harbinger of it.
So would it be right to say that is Indian cloud telephony really ready? Because it's a combination, everything that pushes you, gives you that thrust to really arrive.
No, I think cloud telephony, it's been 7 years. We started in 2009. I personally coded the first line of code, which was ended up becoming no less the platform. I think sufficient time has passed that we know the use cases, how cloud telephony should be really used by the businesses, and then we actually work very closely with the regulators. You're on the spot to make sure that the regulation that are going to come to regulate this industry will make sure that those regulations are future centric. They encourage the industry to evolve and take care of some of the pain points that we have to deal as an industry when we deal with the telcos or the customers or anybody else.
So before I ask you about your flagship product a little more in detail, when we entered your office, we saw a very cool corner which really caught our eye. Can we just go there and you can give us a round of your office and I can just ask you all the other questions there?
Absolutely, absolutely happy to do that.
You were talking about super receptionists. So I want you to tell us a little more in detail about this flagship product and how did the idea come about and what are the challenges that it's trying to solve?
Fundamentally, it's an office phone number. You take this phone number, put it on a business card or on a website, and when the customers call you on that number, it will say welcome to your company, press 1 for sales, press 2 for marketing, and you press 1 is call is forwarded to the agents or sales guy's phone number. The good thing about this is that if the guy is not available, if sales guy is not available, it will automatically hunt the second number or third number and making sure that that the call is not missed. And typically when people call you on mobile phone, you're not always available. But if the customer calls, you want to make sure that somebody picks up the phone. So it's kind of make sure that the connect rate goes up. And then you have recording, analytics, various kind of CRM integrations, pop-ups, all those good stuff that comes with the enterprise software. You can run literally a call center. So you have people calling, sitting in the queue, please wait while we connect your call, and then, all those call center stuff also becomes available. So very powerful inbound phone voice communication tool that any business can use because it's so inexpensive.
So currently the Trump administration, as we all know, has proposed a few changes in the visa regime, which a lot of professionals think would adversely affect the Indian IT professionals. What are your views on that?
I mean, it has been going on a little bit for some time now. I think you've got TCS and Infosys and other companies, service companies that got built up in India between 2004 2005, pretty big at the time. There were no product companies, and there the business model was that you'll send out people from India to US to do all the service work. But if you see last 6-8 years, especially in last 5 years, a lot of Indian talent has actually come out of Infosys and TCS and Wipro and spending time building up cool products for both for Indian market and international markets. And you have a company like us, Freshdesk, Zohos and Ubers and all those companies, product companies getting built in India. I think the India advantage has just gone up quite dramatically. There's a lot more opportunities available for IT professionals in India, because of which people like me come back, from US. We didn't have any visa issue. So I don't think this is going to impact much. I think it's going to adversely impact US itself because you want to make sure the best talent come to you.
So you talked about opportunities that are now present in India. Does the Digital India initiative and perhaps the whole smart city project present a plethora of opportunities, for such companies to come and set shop here?
Absolutely. I think the government alignment is very important, and what the government currently is doing is very good. I do not know currently, the effectiveness impact on the ground,
right,
but just the alignment that we want to be business friendly, and we want to push digital technologies and help push digital technologies in the market, and want to help out entrepreneurs. For example, Startup India. So very very important initiative from intent point of view. I don't know if the execution yet is happening.
Right.
But even intent is very good.
So, what do the next 5 years look like at Knowlarity? I mean, are there any expansion plans as such?
Well, we have built up a global company here, both for India, international markets, Middle East and Southeast Asia. We have a long way to go. We want to build up a great enterprise product company coming out of India, which conquers all of the emerging market.
Right. So, if I would have to ask you, if there's one message that you would like to give to the MSMEs or the new age entrepreneurs, startups in the technology space, what would that be?
I think remain committed to the customers and think big.
Think big. That's the key message.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Amrish, for joining us.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time for a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you a special segment on the IT industry in our Leader Focus tonight. Welcome back. With us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on our Leader Focus, we have Abhishek Barari, founder of MyCute Office, in conversation with Sushanta Mitra, founder and CEO of Lead Angels. Maybe we can ask you to start by talking to our viewers very quickly about what it is you do.
So, we have a startup called mycuteoffice.com. We help companies share their existing offices with other companies. So this gives companies the flexibility to take small offices on rent in multiple locations. So we've aggregated over 3,500 such offices all over the country, and our clients are from all categories. SMEs, big large businesses are also now looking at such arrangements for having decentralized offices and multiple locations.
Okay. And we do talk a lot, in fact, on the Leaders of Tomorrow about how you know whether an idea that you had is also commercially viable, will necessarily make you money. You know, when you were starting out, did you ask yourself those questions? How did you decide that this was, a business model that would work?
In fact, to be very honest, money was not the first thing which we thought of when we started this out. It was a purpose which was more important. Being part of the startup community for a couple of years before I started MyCute Office, I was very aware of the problems which a lot of the initial small companies face. So it was more that purpose which I started with. Then I met Sushanto, and we discussed the possibility of taking this to the next level by bringing together an online platform, and technology plays a very vital role in our sector, because there is no other possible way of aggregating so much data into one place. So over a period of time, we evolved the revenue model. We had a few changes and shifts because ours is a little bit of an offline process also, where we need to suggest great spaces to our clients. So we did that shift over a period of time. We built the relationship with the space providers. We had our legal documentation, etc., come in later on, much later on in the process.
So Shanta, maybe do you want to talk to our viewers about what perhaps about his business model excited you?
So I think this was a very big problem in India of startups or even individuals, freelancers, or even large companies looking for flexibility in their space requirements, or having distributed offices. And on the other hand, there were offices who were downsizing, or a lot of change, disruption was happening even in the old economy. So they suddenly had reduction of people or automation. So there were empty spaces within existing offices and a huge bunch of people looking for space. And I thought that the time was right for something to have a solution for something like this.
So would you say that his business model was also looked exciting to you because of also what was happening in the environment at that point? But we talk to you very often about what MSME should keep in mind when it comes to actually approaching investors? One very interesting thing in MSME told me off late was that we don't want to bring in an investor too early on, till we've really sort of got our feet wet, understood what is happening in the market, understood how to work with vendors, different partners, before we can bring in an investor and have the investor question us on certain things,
Sure.
good or bad.
Sure.
Would you agree?
So it actually depends on the business that you are doing. So if you're, say, building a technology product, or which is not existent today, you probably need money upfront, and you really can't have it have the luxury of calling investors in later on in life. But if you have a business which is already generating revenues, is profitable, and you can take it to the next stage before you get investors, maybe A, you will dilute less of your equity, B, you'll know all the nitty-gritties of the business and can negotiate better terms for you.
Okay. This, I understand, is not your first venture.
Yeah, this is my second startup. So our first startup was into self-publishing for authors, and we had a digital platform which allowed authors to self-publish.
Okay, so what learnings from your first startup have you been able to bring into your second startup? And was it easier having a second startup because you've gone through the pain of learning everything the hard way, maybe?
If you look at both the models, both were essentially marketplaces. You needed to have both sides of the business, like you had the supply and the demand to be built onto the online digital platform. So that experience sort of came back to us in MyCute office, where we knew that the supply is essentially the most critical link in the business, and that's where we need to focus all our attention. Similarly, in our previous startup, we knew that authors was the most important part of the chain, so we needed to build that first and then go for the readers. Similarly, here also we did the same. So those learnings was something which we brought across. The third main thing was that I think over a period of time we realized that you need to have a strong viable business model possible in the future. You may not have it at day one, but you need to have that revenue model clear, that over a period of time you will make money through this channel or that channel. That we didn't have in our previous startup, which we made sure we had in the second startup.
Okay. Some MSMEs tell us that they don't necessarily have a CFO on board because they can't afford the cost. If you don't have a CFO on board and you possibly don't have a CA who's, in my opinion, is not always the best possible sort of backup to not having a CFO, what do you do? Is this something you would advise for startups?
So, if one is that what we do in most of our companies, when we invest, can't afford to have CFOs. So, some of us actually double up being their CFOs as well, helping them along and making sure that they are collecting the right data points and analyzing it and moving it to the next stage. And in fact, I would say that that's probably helped us to evaluate it's actually helped us as well. It's not just about helping the companies, but it's helped us as well.
Let me flip it around, Abhishek. What has been the biggest benefit that you've seen, and therefore want to advise the people watching this show, of having an investor on board?
Essentially, we've had a panel of investors on board MyCute office. A lot of them have varied industry experience. Experience is always very valuable, and if it's available on a tap on a phone, that is the best thing a startup can have. In fact, our investors have given us very valuable advice as to when the market trends seem to be changing, where it seems to be going, and we were a little more prepared for that, and we changed our business model accordingly to make sure that we did through those waters very well. So I think over a period of time, investors have added much more value beyond the money itself. It's been more the advice, it's more been a mentor sort of a role, where a couple of the investors have really come into picture and helped us very in a very hand-in-glove situation.
Okay. Did you have an investor in your previous company?
No.
Okay, so and the reason I asked you that was what you've seen as being the difference between having an investor on board and not having an investor on board, and you thought it was critical in your second venture to bring in an investor.
Yes. I think essentially it's a very, very vital thing to have good investors on board your company, and we've been lucky to have Sushanto and their team help us find the right investors for us, and they've gone on and helped us a lot in our business. In fact, In fact, even now they reach out to us a few times a month to just check on us and how things are going, and that sort of keeps us motivated.
He said something very interesting, the emotional aspect, and I don't think entrepreneurs talk about that often enough. I'm sure it's a very difficult job, even if you do have a partner. Having, you know, a mentor on board who's able to sort of walk you through these things, do you think that's crucial as well?
The entrepreneur's life is rather lonely because he has the shareholders, he has the team, he has his clients, he has his vendors, and it's tough. So we understand that, and just if nothing else, but just having a shoulder to cry on is something that many of us didn't have when we started out on our own, and that is what we probably want to give and support our startups that way.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both very much for coming in. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
That wraps up this episode of the Leaders of Tomorrow for tonight. If you have any questions for us, you can always write in to us at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT on Twitter, or you can tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J. You can reach us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow, or call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your questions answered. If you're interested in being featured here on the show, do let us know. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.